Okay, now we're going to get into Star Wars Episode 4. The film is called A New Hope because in this film, this was actually the first Star Wars film that came out where it left off at Episode 4. Basically, Obi-Wan lives on a deserted planet, Tatooine, to escape from the Empire's rule, to hide out from the Empire, which is the New World Order in our society today. He meets a man named Luke Skywalker, and automatically he knows who he is. He knows who his father is because, of course, he used to be his father's master. And he keeps telling this guy, Luke, dude, like, you have power. Your father was the greatest Jedi to ever exist. In Obi-Wan Kenobi's head, he's thinking this, but he's not telling this to Luke. All throughout the movie, he keeps giving Luke clues, you know what I'm saying? You know, you can do anything. You can do anything you set your mind to, you can do it. He teaches him the ways of the Jedi. They confront Vader for the first time. They actually confront Vader, and Obi-Wan Kenobi ends up dying. Luke Skywalker is shell-shocked and in utter disbelief. It gets really deep because in that film, Darth Vader never told Luke Skywalker that he was his father. So this whole time, Luke is just thinking that this is some evil dude who's serves Satan, Saturn serves Sidious. So he has to be destroyed. He has to be taken out of power. He has to be taken care of, okay? Luke's confidence really wasn't full-fledged. He really wasn't 100% when he faced Darth Vader in the 4th movie. But after Obi-Wan died in the 5th movie, The Empire Strikes Back, Obi-Wan met a character on a planet called Dagobah. He met a character on a swamp planet called Yoda. And this Master Yoda basically showed Luke the real way of the Force, the real way to use your body as an amplifier. You know, he gave Luke most of his wisdom he has today. And he basically said that, you know, in order to take Darth Vader out, you're going to have to drop your fear. He said fear is the biggest path that's going to lead you to the dark side, okay? And this is that saying is very significant because Yoda in today's age could be seen as, you know, the greatest master teacher, spiritual master teacher on this planet, okay? And all these people at this time in the Star Wars Episode 5 film, what they're doing is they're hiding out from the Empire because Darth Vader is under Sidious's control and Sidious is over the whole galaxy. He's the dictator of the whole galaxy. And Sidious, like I said before, Sidious is Obama and the Empire is the New World Order in today's society. This is what's about to happen right now. And even going back to the 3rd film, Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, when Palpatine showed his true face of Darth Sidious, what was the first thing he did? He ordered the clone troopers, who he was in control of, to take out the Jedi and execute Order 66, which is really execute Order 666. And what happened when Order 66 was carried out? All of the Jedi across the galaxy were slaughtered and annihilated by the rebels. So what does that coincide to today? When Obama tells the military to start rounding up black quote-unquote revolutionaries, anybody who's against the government, the global government around the world, when Obama says you motherfuckers have to be rounded up and you're considered a rebel terrorist, yeah, you're going to be taken out of power. So that scene in Episode 3 is very significant because that's the point we're going to be dealing with, I believe, sometime next year, okay? And so just keep that in mind. Like I was saying, Episode 5, Yoda showed Luke Skywalker the real way of the Force, how to use his midichlorians, which is his melanin, to be an amplifier of electromagnetic energy and to use his intuition and his telekinesis to take Sidious and Darth Vader out. He leaves the planet Dagobah and he confronts Darth Vader and Sidious on the Death Star. Now, it's funny they called it the Death Star, which is basically a base, a space station, which is so powerful, it has the power to shoot a laser beam that can annihilate a whole planet. Now, a lot of people say that's far-fetched, that, that's fairy tale fantasy bullcrap for the most part. But if you do your research, there's been certain scientists and astronomers that have studied the moon's orbital pattern, and actually shot rockets and missiles at the moon and said that the moon was hollow. If you think it's bullshit, if you think it's a joke, you might want to do your research, because I could tell you firsthand, the earth is rotating around the sun because the sun goes across the sky every day. True or false, people? That's true. Please tell me why we only see the moon in the sky every other week if it's really orbiting the planet naturally, people. wake the hell up and start doing your research, because the moon is under intelligent control. The moon was sent here from a star constellation called Ursa Minor, the same time Atlantis was put on this planet. And I'm gonna blow a lot of people's minds. The moon is actually the goddamn Death Star. Call me crazy, call me a Looney Tune. You got motherfuckers with PhDs, doctorates, and bachelor's degrees claiming the same claim that I'm telling you right now. Okay, so a lot of people really have to wake up to that fact. Okay, the moon is not natural, and the Death Star and Star Wars, that is what they are talking about. So when Luke confronts his father for the second time, when he confronts him the second time, the battle is really, really rough. It's really draining, energy draining, and it lasts for a really long time. And eventually, Darth Vader, of course, he outsmarts him, because he's been, that's his father. He's been doing it for 20 plus years, longer than Luke. He chops Luke's hand off. Luke screams in pain, and he's holding on to a rail so he doesn't fall to his death. Darth Vader says, you're gonna have no choice but to join me. And Darth Vader tells Luke that Obi-Wan never told you what really happened to your father. And Luke says that, what are you talking about? Obi-Wan said that you killed him. You killed my father, Darth Vader. And then Darth Vader replies, he says, no, Luke, what are you talking about? I am your father. I am your dad. And the same reaction that Luke had at that moment is the same reaction when when people in today's era find out that melanated people are the mothers and fathers of civilization. You know what I'm saying? He was terrified. He was shell-shocked. He was flabbergasted. He almost fainted, whatever you want to call it. And actually, Luke was so shocked and in a state of delusion that he rather jump off of the light rail and damn near commit suicide than accept the fact that this man that was portrayed as evil, that he thought was evil from the jump, was his father. He tried to commit suicide, but he actually landed in a space landing pad and jumped in a starship, because he partially used his telekinesis to save himself from killing himself. Okay, so that basically sums up the episode 5 Empire Strikes Back confrontation. This is going to be Star Wars episode 6 and 7. Episode 6 was called Return of the Jedi, because after Yoda taught Luke how to officially use the Force, he regained his consciousness and understood who he was as a sentient being, a spiritual being in the galaxy. So he came together with his sister Leia, and they formulated a plot to confront Vader and Sidious on the Death Star right outside of the moon known as Endor. So when he confronts his father, there's a huge battle that breaks out inside of the Death Star. And Luke, it looks like he's going to win the fight. All of a sudden, Sidious hits him with the electric force, and he's getting shocked so bad and so intensely, he feels like he's going to die. And all of a sudden, out of the blue, Darth Vader picks Sidious up and throws him into the nuclear reactor, and he kills himself by doing so, because he removed his mask on accident, and he was never supposed to remove his mask because there were certain kinds of bacteria that couldn't get in his lungs, without him dying. This Return of the Jedi movie is very significant, very symbolic. There's a lot of significance. At the end of the movie, you actually see Master Yoda, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and Anakin in his physical human form, but you see those images, but they're only coming back as light beings. When Luke showed his father who he was, that he still had good inside of his heart, he came back from the 5th dimension, visited him in the 3rd dimension, and Luke saw Yoda, Obi-Wan, and Anakin as light beings. Because we are, we're not this physical body. We're light beings, just like Yoda said in episode 5. Okay, so let's talk about Star Wars episode 7, this new film that's going to come out this Friday. It's called The Force Awakens. That's an interesting name, because I already explained to people what the Force is, and the people who are supposed to be using and manipulating the Force mostly, okay, it says The Force Awakens, which means a certain group of people are going to become awakened at this point in time in the cosmos. Okay, so in this film, episode 7, it's based off of 20 years after the event that happened at the Death Star between Luke and Darth Vader. Now, I said that Luke convinced Darth Vader to kill Sidious. So every other person in the galaxy who was supporting the Empire, they bought into the propaganda that Luke killed Vader and Sidious. They bought into that lie. They bought into that propaganda. So there's a particular politician whose name is Kylo Ren. I'm pretty sure he's an extraterrestrial. In the movie, I'm not sure if he's full human. I just know his name is Kylo Ren. And he's able to use some of the Force willingly, but he's not a natural Jedi. He's not a natural Sith. His midi-chlorian count in his blood isn't really high. So he's just what you would like to call a dark Jedi. He doesn't have enough power to even be a Sith Lord. So Kylo Ren is the guy you see with the robotic mask in the new film, The Force Awakens. And a lot of people are saying, he has the ability to be, the next Darth Vader. That's false. That's stupid. That's ignorant. Kylo Ren, in the big scheme of things, he's not even a speck on Darth Vader's nutsack. Like, if that's like comparing Young Thug to Tupac. In the movie, Kylo Ren is obsessed with Darth Vader. That's his idol. Just like Napoleon would be Benito Mussolini's idol. It's the same theology with this. He found Darth Vader's mask on the destroyed Death Star, and then he found a piece of Darth Vader's severed hand on the Death Star, as well as Luke's severed hand on the Death Star. So now he has not only Luke's DNA, but he has Darth Vader, Anakin's DNA as well. And what Kylo Ren is trying to do, he's going to try to take pieces of their DNA back to a lab base and clone him and his father, to clone Luke and Anakin and manipulate their DNA so they would automatically become dark, the dark side of themselves. Because when Sidious and Vader, were still at the throne, they wanted Luke to join them so there could be 3 major Sith Lords to rule over the galaxy. Well, Kylo Ren is trying to do the same thing. He's trying to resurrect Darth Vader, and he's trying to clone Luke so there'll be a dark version of Luke, and they can all serve the Sith's purpose to bring the power back to the Empire and power back to the dark side of the Force, to the negative energy in the galaxy. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens. Pay attention to what happens to Luke Skywalker. There's words that he won't be shown in the film. I highly doubt that, because Luke never died. So he will be shown in episode 7. So will Leia, so will Han Solo. And there's actual words of Luke having a baby who's known as Ben Skywalker. Stay tuned for that. Like I said, it's going to be very interesting. This Kylo Ren character, he's powerful. Don't get me wrong. He has abilities to manipulate the Force and use it to his ability, but he is nowhere near the Jedi or the Sith Lord. He's nowhere near that level of power that Darth Vader had. It's not even a comparison, okay? But either way, like I said, it's going to be a very interesting film. It's going to break records at the box office, of course. And me, myself, I'm going to go ahead and see it personally because I've always been a fan of Star Wars. So like, subscribe, leave a comment, man. It's a chosen one, man. I'm out.